Greetings, fellow humans. Bad Mark here with another transmission from Metre Keyboards. And today we're taking a look at a new keyboard from a company I have yet to have a chance to take a look at. Last week, Bauer had a sale going on, and I've had this Bauer Lite in my want list for a while. So, as it was nicely discounted, I went ahead and pulled the trigger and purchased it. And today we're going to go ahead and build it out and do a stock sound test. I've heard a few sound tests, and I've heard a few people talk about how they like this keyboard. I have yet, though, to have, I really haven't delved into like any of the reviews or builds or anything. So I'm going into this more as something that I've looked at and and really wanted, and just want to go ahead and open up and build. So let's go ahead and open up this lovely keyboard. I did get it in the bone colorway. They only had a couple of colorways available, but this is one that I've wanted since the majority of colors were available. So it had just been in my cart since then. All right, so we got a box within a box. We got a pretty decent box with a nice inlay glossy logo type there. All right, so we've gone ahead and unpacked the box. I got to say, it's a really nice presentation. It has a really nice manual that walks us through all of the different mounting options as well as build steps, which we'll probably have to take a look at here shortly. We have the motherboard that appears to only have a split backspace option. All the rest are set, and they're south-facing with no LEDs. But it is a nice PCB, is well made. It has a gray tint to it. And it did come with the JST cable and the daughter board pre-attached. We also have a nice two-piece shell that has the nuts inset into the plastic, so we're not screwing directly into the plastic. We have a very nice plate that matches the bone color and is very soft. I mean, it's almost seems a little softer than PC, but I'll have to look it up. I believe it's PC, but I could be wrong. We have the foam. I guess it's probably either a pour-on or a neoprene for between the plate and the PCB. We have gasket strips. And, oh, there's actually a set of tweezers in there. That's nice. We have the hardware along with the tools so that we can build this together. Now, there was an extra bag that did come in there, but I'm not sure yet. And then we have, looks like bumpers as well as tadpoles for mounting. So it looks like we have several different mounting styles to choose from. I'm going to see which one I'm going to go with. I'll probably go with a gasket or tadpole, but here are all the parts. It's the Bauer Lite bone. All right, so got all our pieces here. I really like the design. I think that's pretty cool. Keeping it out of the way for right now, I'm gonna unplug the JST connector. Gonna guess I can probably put the foam on after I have the screw stabilizers in place. We don't have either an IXPE foam sheet or a PET sheet to deal with. So let's take a look here, see how everything goes. That appears to be right. I just want to confirm. Pull out the housings of the stabilizers are all from the same company. They're just different colors. But I did have an extra 7U. Forgot what specific company this is or brand, but it's really nice, straight. It's not carbon fiber. It is metal, but it's painted black. I just know I like it. But I had it left over because this is a 7U. So, all right. So I'm going to go ahead and install the screw-in stabilizers, which do not come with the kit. So, and these, I want to say they're Duroc screw-in stabilizers, but I think they're actually TX. I'll have to check and see if I can get it right, and check for sure, but I've just collected so many bits and pieces along the way that it's hard to keep track. of what they are. The clip always goes into the bigger hole. And you press it in and clip in. Now, just as a quick PSA, it is usually recommended to hand screw in stabilizers into a PCB. I am honestly taking my chances, and I would recommend to not do as I do. In this case, though, I do have to say, as far as with many things in life, there are different levels of quality. And as far as a PCB goes, this is a very, very good quality PCB. It is well done. It is well thought of. It has layers. It has plenty of solder mask. It is very well soldered, unless somebody is, really manhandling this PCB. I think it's going to work well for a lot of people, and it's going to be something that's going to be easy to work with and not be afraid of damaging it. All right, so once we got all the stabilizers in place, we know that they're working, we can go ahead and get started on setting up. Then we're going to go ahead and do a stock build. I'll definitely be coming back to this and modding it, but right now I'm just going to do it fair justice, do it stock. In this case, these are one of the few situations where I'm like, with kids, I'm just of the opinion, and it's not that I don't hold it against the manufacturers or whoever's building or selling the kit. I just think that for those, which I believe a lot of people are probably going to build it stock, at least the majority. The first time they build it, they're probably going to build it in a stock configuration. And just for that matter alone, I think they should include stabilizers, even if it does increase the cost just a little bit, that they ensure they get stabilizers that are not only the fit for the right width of PCB, which in this case, I'm going to guess and say it's 1.6, but so that I'm just not leaving it up to my estimations, let's go ahead and actually take out the tool that actually tell us. All right, yeah, we're dealing with 1.6 millimeter PCB. If I press up against it, see, yeah, so 1.6. So that's why I knew these for certain were going to work with this thickness. There are a lot of 1.2s out there, and there are, I've seen, I want to say a handful of stabilizers that will work. They're basically made for 1.6, but will work on 1.2 with a couple of extra washers to make up for that difference. But I prefer just to put the size that's available. So for those couple of reasons, for that, and also just ensuring that there's going to be a smooth operation, and if for some reason, just assume they're not going to get lubed, so get some really nice stabilizers, stabilizer bars, or even put like a PTFE film on the actual bar so that you eliminate any chance of rattling, and just make it as easy as possible for the end user to have a great experience coming out of the box. Just a thought. All right, so we put this down in place. I do believe these are the bottom studs. I think it's like a 3-piece thing here to put the core together. So I think these, they've got, all right. So we've got these that I want to say go here, but I'm actually gonna RTFM, take my own advice. Yeah, they go in the middle. We got one that goes to the bottom, one that goes to the top. So is it actually gonna make sense to do this? Almost feels like the foam's just not big enough for this to fit through. Let me see if I can just get it in. It actually sit on top of the plant. Alright, so we've got the I was going to call them barrels,
Got the little barrels, I just embedded them into the foam, that way they stay in place. Then we have the flatter ones go on the bottom. Let's see if it makes distinction. No, the flatter ones are countersunk. So we're going to have to put the plate in place. Let's make sure we got the plate in the right way. Alright, so the flatter ones should be countersunk. No, these look to be countersunk. Yeah, these are countersunk. See if we can get these at least started. You give us a tool, getting it into the barrel. It's started, I think. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for one side, then I'll do the other. Hopefully that will work. It gives me the option right now. So I can take out this piece and make it. I'm doing a regular backspace, so I'm going to go ahead and take this out. Go ahead and get the side cutters. I'm honestly surprised I didn't realize that until just now. I just thought I just had aligned the plate there properly yet. But, yep, I could actually probably just bend it out with my fingers. So now it should easily go over all the stabilizers. All right. Now we're going to have to hold it in place while we screw it to the other side of the barrels. Now, obviously, we're going to have to come back to the other side and tighten the other ones. I did not fully tighten them yet. All right, so now we have the core of the Bauer Lite assembled. Everything's in place. We've got the foam. We're sticking with stock. Sticking with a stock build. Oh, did you have to finish tightening these? Let's go ahead and do that. These the same size, or that's smaller? It's a smaller bit. Let's go. We'll just hand tighten these. All right, so once we have the core of the Bauer Lite, so I'm doing a standard US ANZ layout, so it has a regular backspace. Sometimes if you want, and because this actually offers the advantage that you can do instead of a split backspace, that you can always come back. I mean, even though you don't have the support in the middle, you should be fine with 5-pin switches, and you can go to a split backspace should you want that extra key. But I'm just going to go ahead and just build it with a standard layout today. But like I said, I just want to make sure that everyone knows that's an option. Now that we have the core fully assembled, it's time for some switches. I am going to be using a Franken switch here. Now for the first few switches, obviously you want to support the back of the socket and make sure they fully lock into the plate. As you're going to see, there's probably going to be a little bit of space until you get more of the switches in place, and then the plate will fully lift up. So don't be too concerned with the first few switches. Have a bit of a time locking into the plate. As you put more of them in, as long as you make sure that they're fully seated, the plate will slowly lift up and make it easier for the rest of the switches to get loaded. All right, so I've gone ahead and loaded these up with a Franken switch I call MilkBone. I've made a separate video about it. It's just it's a very easy combination of a milky brown housing for a Gatoron, the stem of a Halo True, and a 62.5 gram dual stage 21 millimeter gold plated spring. So I've loaded these up. They feel quite nice. And so next it is telling us that we want to install the donut bumpers onto the top housing. These actually have this little ledge right here, so they don't just, they have a specific way they have to go in. As you can see here, right there, there is like a little cutout. And on the bumper itself, there's a little wedge. So you have to match that wedge to the bumper and put it in. I don't find that sticking the tweezers in the middle hole and then let them loose holds it. So it makes it easier to stick in. Just to note, there are 2 extra ones just in case. Always nice. I appreciate when they put extra pieces in, because you never know when one of these tiny little pieces might decide to go and take a jump. All right, now we've got those in place. Still got these corner bumpers, and then we have the strips. All right, next, it's the isolation strips on the bottom housing.
All right, so let's pull that here. So now we're going to install the isolation strips, which kind of like a force break. I forgot that there was actually tweezers included, but thankfully I already had some. I think these are the feet for the bottom of the case. So we'll leave those aside. And it looks like we have the two long ones down along the bottom here. It has a little groove specifically cut out for these. And we have the medium ones, two of them. All right, and then we have the two little ones right in the middle. All right, so now we've got those installed. Now it wants us to install the daughter board. Here we have the daughter board. That does look like it goes like that. All right, the daughter board is nice and firmly secured. So we can move on. Oh, we still got these bumpers. I want to make sure not to drop them. All right, these are called taco bumpers. And these actually go on the corners of the plate. We're going to put one here. One here. And we do have extra bumpers, extra screws, extra pieces. Always make sure to try to keep that with your box so you always know where they're at in case one of these were to fall off when you're maintaining or opening it up or switching something out. All right, this is pretty cool how they kind of explain how to do this. It says to go ahead and lay down, all right, and then we flip it over so that we're basically going in with the JST connector here. Well, it's in the top part of the case. All right, so now that we have everything connected, all right, it says to insert the tabs on the front end, which we can see right here. We've got these tabs, and I need to clip it in the front of the case first. All right, so we're holding it together. They're clipped in. Now we need to do 4 screws to lock it into place. All right, and last but not least, let's go ahead and install the feet. All right, we only have 2 of these, so we want to make sure we get them installed right the first time. They fit into their groove pretty well. There's a little bit of space, but not much. Nothing I think will make a difference. I mean, it has flex, but it does not have quite as much flex I expected with all those little bumpers and everything, but actually fairly stiff, but despite not having any bottom foam, feels actually substantial. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put away these extra parts. So here we are with the Bauer Lite in a barebone configuration with switches. For this build, I decided to go with Ember PBT. These are die sub cherry profile PBT keycaps. I think they're going to look quite nice. I think that orange will give it a nice little pop of color. So let's go ahead and load these up and get to the review and sound test. And here we are with the fully built Bauer Lite. I have to say, I'm honestly surprised at this keyboard. I'm a little disappointed at the keycap set. I honestly thought that it included a 1.75U super key, because this is the super and this is control. That's why there's no step caps lock, and we do have split backspace, but I just went ahead with the standard. So this should be a super key, and this is the function. I'm going to try to use it in this layout. I have used control or caps lock as control in the past, so I don't think it'll be a big deal. But I've got to say, I've built many keyboards, dozens, maybe, yeah, probably over 100 at this point. Just like with software or anything else, really, you can have a good design or you can have a lazy design. A lot of times I kind of just feel that some keyboard companies are just like, okay, we've got a square or we've got a rectangle of plastic, make some holes in it, stick some keys, and we're off to the races. This one, though, I feel, and I mean, this is just my opinion, that it was designed, that there was thought put into it, that every curve, the interior, the spacing, the tolerances Everything was very thought out. Why do I say this? Because now, I will say I think this is a medium difficulty build. Not saying that it's harder, but it has more pieces. So unless you're really good with your hands, I wouldn't recommend this as your first build. I would say have a couple of builds under your belt, and even taking apart existing pre-builds and put them back together will help with that. Not that beginners will have trouble. It'll just take them a little bit longer because of the numerous pieces. That said, I think that this is a well-designed keyboard because I was honestly not expecting it to sound as good as it does stock because of the lack of foam. I mean, it does have the plate PCB foam, but there is nothing on top of the PCB. There's nothing underneath the PCB. But despite that, it still feels substantial for a plastic mechanical keyboard. And the way that it sounds, I mean, I know keyboards have gotten much better over the last year and a half, 2 years. This one definitely sounds and feels like a much more expensive keyboard. Now, granted, I did buy this on sale, but even at its retail price of $119, I think that this is a well-built keyboard. It's one of those few, it's like when the KBD 67 Lite came out. There was other plastic keyboards, but the KBD 67 still to this day holds up as a really good 65% keyboard that was well manufactured, well built. Was a little bit pricier. I think that one actually sold for either $99 or $119, but delivered a much better experience. I have a handful of them, and I really enjoy them. But this one, in my opinion, as a current in stock, because the KBD 67 has been discontinued, this is now for the folks that are going to ask me, because I literally have I field at least 2, maybe 3 dozen questions a day regarding keyboards. And a lot of times it's which one should I get between this and this, or this is what I need. What would you suggest? And I did for a long time. And when it came to 65%, and people that are like, okay, my budget's $150, $200, with keycaps, switches, and the keyboard, but I want a kit to build, I would recommend the KBD 67 Lite when it was in stock. As it's been discontinued now, I think the Bauer Lite is going to be my new suggestion for a well-built kit mechanical keyboard. It is not aluminum, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I like aluminum keyboards, but I do not think that they are the end-all be-all. I think for some people, aluminum keyboards are the end game. I think for others, it really just depends on the keyboard. I know I am going to switch this out, and it's going to be my daily driver for a little while. And I will definitely come back to this because I want to see what kind of difference I can make with mods. But the way that this sounds, completely bare bone stock. I mean, yeah, the switches that I have in there, the MilkBones, they are lubricated. But like I said, it's just a halo stem, a 62.5 gram 2-stage gold-plated spring, and the housing of a milky brown from Gatoron. So I've got to say, I quite enjoy this. I like the clean look of it. I definitely like the Tsangan bottom row without the Win key, although this is technically our super key. It actually works for me in the way that I use Linux and do the launcher. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and leave you guys with a stock sound test of the milk colored Bauer Lite from Omnitype. I'm really enjoying this keyboard. I hope you guys enjoyed the build video and enjoyed the sound test. If you have any questions, as always, please leave them down in the comment sections below. I do my best to answer comments as quickly as possible. Anyway, for now, I want to wish everybody out there in YouTube land a wonderful rest of your day. And until the next transmission, keep calm and keyboard on.